ChatGPT confidently told someone that 9.11 plus 9.11 equals 9.22, and it wasn't joking. That's not a glitch. That's not a one-off mistake. That's how these models actually work, and once you understand why, you'll never trust an AI with anything that requires real math again. Look, I get it. We've been sold this story that AI is basically digital brains on steroids. They can write essays, code entire programs, beat humans at chess and go. So naturally, we assume they're crushing basic arithmetic. They're not. And the reason is way weirder than you'd think. Here's the fundamental problem. Large language models like ChatGPT don't actually understand numbers the way you do. They don't have a mental model of quantity. They don't think 2 plus 2 equals 4 by doing arithmetic. They predict the next most likely word based on patterns they saw during training. When you ask ChatGPT a math question, it's not doing math. It's predicting tokens, pieces of text, based on statistical likelihood. The model has seen billions of examples of math problems and answers during training, and it's learned to pattern match. But pattern matching isn't the same as understanding. It's closer to memorization with a thin layer of interpolation. So when the model encounters a problem it's seen before, or something very similar, it nails it. But when you ask it something even slightly unusual, a calculation with unusual numbers, a word problem with a twist, or just a simple operation it hasn't seen in that exact form, it starts to hallucinate. And because these models are trained to sound confident, they'll give you a wrong answer with absolute certainty. There's a famous example. Ask ChatGPT to multiply two large prime numbers. Sometimes it gets it right, sometimes it doesn't, and it will argue with you about the wrong answer. It's not being stubborn. It's just pattern matching, and when the pattern breaks, it doesn't have a fallback to actual computation. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but GPT-4 is better, right? Newer models are smarter? They are better, but not by the margin you'd hope. GPT-4 still struggles with arithmetic tasks that require more than a few steps. It gets worse the longer the problem. Multi-digit multiplication? Flaky. Counting objects in a description? Surprisingly hard for it. Dividing by numbers it hasn't seen often? Hit or miss. The research backs this up. A 2023 study found that language models' math accuracy actually degrades as problems get more complex. And it's not because they're careless. It's because they don't have a mechanism for step-by-step symbolic reasoning. They're trying to predict the answer directly, like a student who's memorized the answers to every problem in a textbook but has no idea how to solve an unfamiliar one. So why does this matter? Why am I not just telling you this is a neat quirk? Because right now, people are building AI systems that make decisions affecting your money, your health, your job. A hiring algorithm using an AI language model to score resumes. A financial advisor powered by an LLM helping you allocate investments. A medical chatbot answering questions about drug dosages. All of these require reliable math. All of them are failing silently. Let me give you a real scenario. A company uses ChatGPT to auto-calculate insurance premiums based on customer data. The model hallucinates a number. Suddenly, someone's premium is wildly wrong. They don't notice. The company doesn't notice. The model sounds confident, so no one questions it. That's not hypothetical. That's happening in production systems right now. Even worse is the confidence problem. If an AI said, "I'm not sure about this calculation," you'd double-check. But these models don't do that. They're trained to be helpful and to sound authoritative. So they give you wrong math with the same tone they'd use for correct math. Your brain doesn't have a built-in alarm for that. Here's what makes this even more interesting. The people building these models know this is a problem. OpenAI knows. DeepMind knows. They've been working on solutions. Some newer approaches chain the LLM with actual calculators. You ask the model to break down a problem, identify the math steps, hand them off to a symbolic calculator, then synthesize the answer. That works better, but it's not seamless, and most deployed systems aren't doing it. Other approaches involve training models with reinforcement learning to penalize confident wrong answers, or using external tools for verification. But these are expensive, they slow things down, and they're not standard yet. The quick and dirty deployment, just use the language model directly, is still the most common. So what's the practical takeaway? Don't trust an AI with math without verification. Full stop. If you're using ChatGPT to help with calculations, run the numbers yourself or use a calculator. If you're building a system that uses an LLM for anything involving numbers, add a verification layer. And if you're a company deploying AI to make decisions that involve math, you need human oversight. Not because the AI is lazy, because it's not actually doing math at all. The broader lesson here is that AI is amazing at pattern matching and language and generating plausible-sounding text. It's terrible at things that require symbolic reasoning, precise logic, or step-by-step verification. We're just now learning the hard way where those boundaries are. And honestly, that's useful to know before you trust a system with something that actually matters. If you want to stay ahead of these kinds of AI gotchas, the stuff that doesn't make headlines but actually affects how you should use these tools, subscribe. I break down one of these every few days. And this is exactly the kind of thing that separates people who understand AI from people who just use it and hope for the best.